Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and welcome to the month of August. It is August 3rd, and it looks like we're starting the month off beautifully with nice weather once again. So we welcome you and thank you for joining us. As always, you guys know I got to throw it on over to my guy, Big O. What up, Big O? Man, happy Monday, my friend.
Man, happy Monday. Happy August. It's good to see you. Speaking of beautiful, you must be talking about yourself.
Oh, never, man. That sun is doing the work today.
Man, how are you?
I am well, man. Got some good rest yesterday after Umoja, definitely needed, and feeling nice and spry today.
Okay.
How about you? You had a good weekend?
Man, I was able to take a few days off, and in doing so, got some rest. I took Thursday off, Friday off, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm feeling good, to be honest with you. Ready for the week. Went and got my self-care on, some of these other things. So I'm doing all right.
Yeah, you're looking nice and right,
man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, and I got to give a few shout outs here even before I get over to my stack over here. But number one, to this outstanding production crew that we have here, who every single day they're here early. And I mean, not only do they work on producing the show, but man, they're constantly studying and innovating to be able to make the show even better. It's a big shout out to John, to Nikki, to Big Jake, to Daryl DQ. He's running the board today, so if something messes up, it's on him. To all ya, Bobby Stills and Young O, you know what I'm saying? Give yourselves a hand.
Yeah, straight up, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? We appreciate you. You guys do a good job. I got a few things to should I jump right into it?
Let's do it, man.
Okay, we got a stack of stuff over here. First of all, again, big shout out to our growing audience that's out there. The audience is growing kind of rapidly, and actually I want to give a big shout out to Laura, who watches us from Spring Branch, Texas, which is about 40 miles north of San Antonio. And Laura listens to the Morning Update Show while she's feeding her horses and goats. And Laura said that she loves how much we love the Emerald City, and that she's pulling for our city all the way from down there in Texas. She also said that she's as well on the side of humanity.
Wow.
So big shout out to Laura watching us down in Spring Branch, Texas. Jordan, can you reach out to Laura and please send her a Converge t-shirt? You know what I'm saying? We need some representation down there in the Lone Star State.
It's beautiful.
We're on follow us on Twitter at WWConverge, and also on Instagram at WWConverge. And the thing is that you get like a different kind of content mix on some of everything. We put a lot of photos and interviews on our Instagram, but then like on our Twitter is where you get a lot of news, where we put a lot of news and everything else. So if you follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, you kind of get like a holistic view of everything that we're covering, and it's at WWConverge. And yeah. Lastly, I guess one other thing, people, visit our website. A lot of people hang out on the social pages website, www.whereweconverge.com.
Nice, man. The platform has been growing, man. It's amazing.
It's definitely been growing. A few other things here. Unfortunately, what else has been growing is COVID, and and that's not all right. But when we're gonna talk about that here in a minute. COVID has been like, it's exploding, all over again. And the thing is people thought that like the summertime, the heat was gonna kill COVID off and this and that, and COVID was like, hold my beer. You know what I'm saying? And so it's still out there. Oh, a few other things too. I got to give a big shout out. Saturday, it was definitely an honor and a pleasure. I was the keynote speaker at the Northwest Journalists of Color Scholarship event ceremony, and man, it was pretty dope because there was all these journalists there. They're either in college or high school, and they got scholarships. They picked me to be the keynote speaker. I was like surprised, like sure, me, really, And when I looked at all the people who were like just attending, just listening in, because we did it on Zoom, and it was some of the biggest names in like broadcast television and really media all across the Seattle area. And so to even be considered, but then to actually give the keynote speech, it was really dope. I'm gonna reach out to them, see if we can clip it. It was only about 13 minutes. I kept it short. Man, you know, that thing is I actually wrote like 7 pages, and they were like, "Yeah, you're gonna have 15 minutes." I wrote like 7 pages. I was like, man, this isn't gonna work. I was just gonna have to talk to them. And so congratulations to all of them. And then the other thing is, before we hop into it, thank you, Bobby, is, man, tomorrow is the last day to vote. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't voted yet, you know what I'm saying, make sure. So basically what needs to happen is that tomorrow is your last day to find one of those blue vote boxes that are around King County, or it has to go into the mail tomorrow. It has to be postmarked by tomorrow. So that means you can't just go drop it in the box somewhere. You know, it says pickup time at 3 o'clock, and even though you put it in there at 4 o'clock, you know, it's not going to count. So make sure that you guys, you know, you get out and vote. This is, you know, when you look at the percentage of people who voted, you know what I'm saying, and then it's a correlation. You know, this is a participatory system that we have here. So you got to participate in the system. So we'll remind you again tomorrow. And actually, I think that there's a box right down the street, right over here by Seattle Central. So I'm gonna go drop mine in over there. Maybe we'll get a video from that.
Nice, nice. Good thing you're doing your civic duty, bro.
Man,
Got you.
It's heavy this year, man. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy. So okay. So first thing we have today, and actually let me talk about what we're talking about today. Of course, we got COVID. We're going to talk about Umoja. We're going to talk about some different types of protesters, things like that. We're going to talk about Juarez and her home. There's also, so there's something that came out, and we'll touch on that lightly today, but we want to research a little bit more with Chief Best, protesters going to Chief Best's home. Then we caught up with Kevin Schofield from SEC Insight, and he's going to walk us through what the next steps are on this defund vote. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of people think that defund is either yes or no. There's actually like 30 different amendments. Wow. And so, there is no up defund or no. And, you know, there's some areas where a lot of people agree, and there's some areas where people totally disagree. And so I got a clip there from Kevin, and we're going to talk about that. And then some more on Umoja and community with Donita Sinclair Martin. And then we talk about, you know, we got the Seattle Krakens, right?
Yeah.
Kraken. Sorry. I know. Not to be mistaken with crackhead.
Right.
It's the Kraken. Well, a lot of people don't know. There was a documentary that came out now 5 years ago. It was called Soul on Ice, and it was the history of African Americans playing hockey. Wow. And so we're gonna have a hockey team now, you know what I'm saying? Let's dig into it. So we're gonna play some of that. We'll get into the first headlines though. We'll bring this one up. Oh yeah. Please, I'm sorry, Daryl over there running the show today. All right, so basically COVID testing is now going on out at Rainier Beach High School. It's gonna start on the 7th. And it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 9:30 to 5:30. Totally free, no insurance requirements. And basically, the old facility was right there at the boat ramp, and they moved it over there to Rainier Beach because they can now do 800 tests a day. Wow. And there's other sites where they're offering pre-testing around the city, and that's in Soto and out in Aurora. And according to Public Health Seattle, King County, they're working on Southwest Seattle. And if people want more information on this, then they can go to southseattleemerald.com. And that's actually where that article is from.
Well, I love that, you know, again, you know, our media partners, our community media, independent media are out there digging for those answers. Man, that's the stuff that our people want to know right there. It's literally, you know, where can I get tested? Are they going to be pressing me for insurance cards? Am I going to have these barriers, right? To be able to provide some direct relief to our community members is huge, man.
That's why it's the first story.
Love it.
You know, and again, you know, we really get it out there wherever testing is going, especially like the walk-up testing and things like that, because there's a lot of people in our community who don't own a car.
Yeah.
And so we know that there's lots of drive-through testing, but what if you don't own a car? And so, somewhere needs to be accessible. And like I said, 800 tests a day down there in Rainier Beach. South Seattle Emerald.
That's a great increase, honestly.
Yeah,
and really, there's in such close proximity. It's great that they were able to move it without any issues. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then provide such a greater number of testing a day. And I think that's what a lot of people are wanting. I think there's been a lot of unrest in the last few weeks, especially really last week after Jay Inslee dropped his order. And the ordinance trying to just make sure that we trying to control this spike. I think a lot of people began to be more concerned. So it's great that we have this opportunity now for folks down there in the South Seattle.
Yeah. So make sure and check that out. Like I said, Public Health, Seattle King County, or you can go to South Seattle Emerald. It's more detailed information right there. Next up was something you participated in, right?
Yeah.
This is Umoja 2020.
Oh man, Umoja, yes, our March and Day of Unity. It was amazing. Just this past Saturday. I'm glad that we have some clips of it here to show.
So here we go. But we'll play this and we'll let you talk about it.
There we go.
Just a short clip there, but maybe you can tell us what was going down.
Well, yeah, I mean, as we started at Liberty Bank Building, and that was part of our march going into Jimi Hendrix Park. We were led by the Buffalo Soldiers, so you didn't see the horses on the camera there, and the Diamonds were right there. That was the Diamonds performing right there on Jackson. I mean, again, they actually made several stops throughout the march, man, and just kept giving us that live energy. It was lit, man. I mean, shout out to them. Shout out to all of their leaders over there. They did a really great job. And then they not only performed all throughout 23rd, they got all the way to Jimi Hendrix and performed again.
You're getting ahead of the show. We still got more clips of that.
There we go.
I know you're excited about it. But something else that actually occurred, and this is what Eric Calligraphy actually recorded. This next clip right here is that when the parade got to 23rd and Jackson, and on 23rd and Jackson, there's a Starbucks on one corner, and then there's this other building that Vulcan owns, which is very controversial in the black community in the Central District. That Vulcan building is very controversial, and people really aren't happy about it at all. But anyways, I mean, and this kind of plays into protest season and everything else, is that you see protesters got there, if you want to call that, paraders, you know what I'm saying? But definitely right there, they were protesting, Starbucks and Vulcan, and White King said what he wanted to say. People moved on. The only reason why I bring that up, no broken windows.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No spray paint anywhere.
Right.
No this or that. No nothing. And I point this out as well, is because this whole thing is getting so polarized. And I'll bring this up after the next clip about Juarez. But it's getting so polarized that anybody who's going out and protesting must be, a terrorist.
Right.
And anybody who's against DFA must be against, what I'm saying? I mean,
equity,
it's so polarizing. So I just thought this was an interesting clip right here to just show that here you go, there's a few thousand black people walking past a Starbucks and Vulcan building, saying what they have to say and move on. So it's like, man, let's bring the temperature down when everybody's like, oh, the protesters were all this and that. Go ahead and play the clip for us.
What do we want? Everything! So we need Vulcan, Starbucks to lead the way. Divest, reinvest. Divest, reinvest. Divest, reinvest. Divest, reinvest. Divest, reinvest. Vulcan, pay the fee. Vulcan, pay the fee. Vulcan, pay the fee. Vulcan. is that Vulcan could really lead the way by divesting from these apartments that our community can't afford to live in. People that work in child care centers can't afford to live in. People that work at Walgreens can't afford to live in. People that work at Starbucks can't afford to live in. People that go to SDI can't afford to live in. They don't need this. They don't need Yes for Terror. They're an innovative company. They should pave the way forward. Divest, reinvest. Divest.
So, you know, like I said, again, there's people who are protesting every day. And, you know, Seattle Police Department said that it's about 300 protests a year, even before all of this. On average, about 300 protests a year in Seattle. You know, pretty much the same. People take to the streets. They have some awareness and everything else. And so, you know, I mean, I think that, and we have, by the way, we have all kinds of clips from the weekend. We just couldn't fit it in this show, right. But we have a lot of clips that break a lot of different narratives that people have about certain things. And I think that's important because if everybody hops on these bandwagons, you know what I'm saying, without seeing, you know, for yourself. And just to bring up, so with Vulcan, briefly, and I think we probably need to, you know, have another show on this. And I keep saying, you know, so whoever's keeping track is probably totally drunk now. I've said it about 6-7 times. But people talk about wanting to halt gentrification in the Central District. Vulcan on 23rd and Jackson built this building there that nobody who lives in the neighborhood or works in the neighborhood, I think point out there, works at the Walgreens, right. Works over there at the Chase Bank as a teller, you know, works over at any the daycare or at SBI, could even afford to live in the building. And so that building is really controversial because people in the neighborhood feel that it's leading to more gentrification of the Central District.
Yeah, again, it just feels like another building that wasn't built for the people who were there. It's built for newcomers to come in, and that is a very distinct characteristic of buildings, institutions that have been populating the Central District now for like the last 10 years. We've been seeing an elevation of this kind and style of building. And not only that, but Vulcan also, they originally put out, you know, a bunch of media saying, you know, look, we're going to make sure that the grocery store that we put in this building is, you know, representative of the past. And now we just found out that an Amazon Go store is going there. So there's a lot of uproar from the community because,
I mean,
you know, again, Amazon.
Vulcan was disingenuous as well. They said that they were going to tell the community what store was going in.
Exactly.
They didn't tell the community. The community found out because there was a liquor license that was filed by Amazon.
Yeah, and that's what ended up happening. And we've had, you know, Vulcan representatives at our community development meetings. We have really been trying to be as transparent as we could be and bring that information to community. And so again, you know, when companies have the opportunity to be innovative, do something different, it's now this is what the new normal is. We're really pressing on those companies to take those opportunities and not just say, well, you know, we can't say right now, which is what they said at our community development meeting. I remember you were there pressing.
Vulcan was also, I mean, I don't want to make this a Vulcan show. Right. And Vulcan, you're more than happy to come on here, you know what I'm saying? But another shot.
Yeah.
Vulcan was the only developer that wouldn't disclose how many contractors, black contractors or dollars or anything else there was in their project. Yeah. Of all the developments that were going on in the Central District, like Union Partners,
Community House, yeah.
Everybody basically came clean on their numbers, except for Vulcan. So, Vulcan, you're out there. We want to hear from you, Vulcan. As to about this building there on 23rd and Jackson. We want to talk to you about the promise that you made. Actually, I was there. Daryl was there too. You live streamed it.
Yeah.
Daryl was live streaming when they said that they were going to tell the community what grocery store was going to go in up there and everything else. So we'd be happy to hear from you, Vulcan, so we get some insight on that. Nikki, let's follow up with Vulcan. Put it on the list.
Well, and I also just want to say I'm glad that you mentioned the difference between the protesters, because I think that what a lot of the CD and the South End protesters have been trying to do is really educate the community. And so that's what you saw there was another example of that we need to get education out to community, because a lot of folks don't know about these background stories with a lot of these buildings or development. So that's really at the forefront of why we do a lot of that work.
And that's what I'm saying. These protests aren't one size fits all.
Right.
There's so much that's going on. And so speaking, there's a developing story that's actually going on. Chief Carmen Best, there were some protesters near her property, in Snohomish yesterday. And we're going to hold off on going too deep into that because we think that we know one of the protesters who was there. And so before we roll out everything, we just found out this morning, it was in the queue to just go with this story earlier. And we think that we know one of the protesters who was there. And actually, there's someone who's been on the stream. And one of the people who was very big on the peaceful protest side and everything else. And so we thought that before we roll it out, that we want to be able to really talk to more people. And also, there's a reporter at the paper up there in Linwood who wrote an article about the incident. And so we want to get up with that reporter from, what's the name of the paper, Nikki?
Linwood. Okay.
Linwood Times.
Okay, the Linwood Times. Because when you hear all the different reports and then you see what's going on social media and what people posted and everything, then it's kind of looking, we just want to really get to the bottom of it. And so we're going to save that for tomorrow. We're gonna try to talk to protesters. We're going to try to talk to the reporter from the Linwood Times, see if we can talk to some neighbors and everything else. But the issue of protesters going to officials' homes, I would say elected officials, but Chief Best is appointed. Mm-hmm. Now all the city council members are elected. They were elected by the ballot. It said the almighty ballot. They were elected by. The police chief was appointed. But Juarez last week, the members of the Native American community that came out, and they said, "Don't bring the smoke." They were like, "Don't bring the smoke over there to Juarez," because she's considered an elder. And one thing, talking about this thing with Chief Best, and not so much the details of it, because we want more details, but there is the fact that yes, she is the chief of police for Seattle. She's also a black woman.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, and like I said, and so I think there's two issues. One is the issue of what happened when the protesters got there to that road. There's a lot of different, stories we're hearing. Some stories the protesters did this and try to, run and assault, and then others are like protesters were just there chilling, and the neighbors had guns. So we want to get to the bottom of that. But putting that part to the side is that the chief, when she's the chief, she's the chief. But I promise you this, when she takes that uniform off, she's still a black woman. In a lot of places, she's still a nigger.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And I mean, and that's just the real of it, whether it be King County, Snohomish County, or anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so, there's still a conversation to be had as well. Is it how we do anything is how we do everything? And if that's the case, as a black woman, is she go into this category? Is Carmen Best in a different category than Chief Best? And that's what that's what the Native Americans were saying.
I mean, once again, to a certain degree, this is why, their message of just protecting an elder in their community, it resonated with me, because that's very much how we someone and what they do for their job, you take it to their job. When you're taking it to someone's home, maybe threatening or doing anything like that, it does become a different issue. I can understand that.
Right. And we'll see. And that's why I said it, is that we don't want to make a rush to judgment over here as to the actual protest or interaction with people there in Snohomish. We need to talk to more people and to be able to better understand that. But, just the fact, like I said, that's the argument. Is it Chief Best? Is it, Carmen Best?
Right.
It's Carmen Best, this black woman, Chief Best, Chief of Police.
Right. Absolutely. I understand it. I'm glad that we can at least put it out there and that we'll be able to follow up on this and see what really happened.
I mean, we want to follow, because the stories it's just too wide ranging.
Yeah.
And then some of the social media posts they were seeing from people. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But along those lines, though, of protest at officials' homes, I was minding my own business earlier, and I was on, somebody added me to a tweet thread here about Deborah Juarez, and so we could bring this up. And there it is. So the first tweet here is from Fascist Jenny, goes by Evil Fascist Jenny. Deborah Juarez is the worst politician in Seattle besides Jenny Durkin. I will continue marching to Deborah's house to shout the protest demands once a week. I'm sorry you feel that I'm attacking your community. To me, I'm only addressing a local issue here in my voting district. Right? And then we've got another tweet. Oh, it's coming. Okay. No, don't worry. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here we go. And so this is Kyrie Remark. It says, there's a long-standing violent history against the Native women in our community, 10 times the national murder rate before COVID. Instead of using violent and threatening tactics against our elder woman council member, can you not write a letter once a week? So as we can see that, there it is, as we can see, differing viewpoints right there, and I was tagged in the comment. I was minding my own business. Sometimes I'm scared to look at notifications these days. I'm like, notification. But this is clearly it's becoming the divisive issue here, where you've got people who are feeling like, hey, it's my right to be able to protest in front of this elected official's home. And then there's other people who feel differently. People go and protest in front of houses all the time. And, it's just, like I said, it's a lot of different viewpoints on it. And then some of it comes down to, okay, elected officials. Some of it comes down to, like I said, the Jossie Ross and Minty are like, yeah, might be a politician to you, but to us, that's an elder.
Yeah, and I think that even the way that they presented their position to not be political at all, they were apolitical about it.
They said bring all the smoke to her office.
Exactly.
They're like, if you don't like her, vote her out.
Ultimately, that's exactly what I'm saying. They weren't saying that you can't oppose her and what she's saying in her position. I think that there's been, we know the history of protesting too. A lot of that when they go to someone's home, I think about the civil rights era. I think about Dr. Martin Luther King's home being attacked. It does sometimes cross that personal pathway. I don't know that it's always the right thing to be doing. Again, if they got offices and you want to go there and protest their office where they're doing their business, it's a different thing. But to bring their families into it, I think about, like I said, go back to Dr. King. His kids, they're burning crosses. There's a lot of different, has a history of crossing the lines.
Yeah, my great-grandmother's first husband was lynched,
Wow.
at the home. So, and growing up as a kid, I remember those stories. My mom telling me. So, like I said, we're gonna dig more into this issue. Definitely want to be able to talk to more people. That's the best thing about our platform.
Yeah.
We got the capacity to sit in long format and talk to people more about this. And we heard, like I said, from Jossie and Minty last week. We'll talk to some of the protesters today. That's my goal for today. Get the camera out in the field and talk to some of the protesters on their thoughts on that. And then, like I said, we want to follow up as to the breakdown up there in Snohomish as to that occurrence.
Absolutely, so. It's good. People want to know.
Protest, man. Protest. And speaking of protests, there's a reason why people are protesting, because they want to see a change. Whether you agree with the change or not, people want to see a change. When we come back, we're going to be talking. I did an interview with Kevin Schofield of SCC Insight, that's Seattle City Council Insight. Asked him, what are the next steps around this defund? There's a lot of different stuff that's going around. The dates change, the amendments change, everything else. then a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people think that it's just an up or down vote. Like, man, do we defund 50% or not? It's not an up and down vote. There's a bunch of different amendments that have to be voted on. They got to go over to committee, all kinds of stuff like that. Anyways, we're going to take a short break right now. And when we come back, we're going to jump right into the interview that I did with Kevin Schofield. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
There's a lot going on. Are you ready? Ready to feel better, look better, be better? Drink water. Be ready for a pickup game. Insta-frame to work hard towards your aim? Drink water. Hydrate. Hydrate to invest in yourself. Cut down on sugar. Invest in your health. Imagine the possibilities and reach your potential. Who knows what's next? Be ready. Be hydrated.
And it looks like right now, if all goes well, the final vote on budget amendments for this year for any defunding of SPD is going to happen on the afternoon of Monday, August 10th. They've, originally they were hoping to get it all done by like mid-July or end of July, and then it was August 3rd. It's just taken them a long time.
Jump in here real quick. So what's happening? Because before, just even a few days ago, it was like the 3rd.
Yeah, it's, they've spent a lot of time on public comment. So like there was a meeting last week where they took the entire 3-hour morning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and did, they had like 300 people who signed up for public comment, and they wanted to hear from as many people as possible, right? And then just getting into the details of trying to understand, like, what can we do? What can't we do? What's the time frame for doing it? When are we going to get into labor negotiations on this stuff? When did like laws have to change for us to do this? It's just taken them a long time to really work through the details on this, and then figure out like, okay, how much money do we need to fund community-based programs? And where are the different places where we can we get enough money this year to start that process now? So what they did, they started this past Friday on really walking through the set of amendments that they're seriously considering doing. And along with that, they've written up a draft resolution which lays out a timeline for now through the end of 2021 of the different phases of how they're thinking about it, what they think they can do, changes to make they can make to the 2020 budget right now, this fall when they write the budget for next year, what they think they can get in the next year, and what things they really think they need to kind of run through this community-led participatory budgeting process, so that fall 15 months from now when they're writing the 2022 budget, they can have all the output of that participatory budgeting process and say, okay, now we have the big plan for what we want to do. So they put all these different phases in this resolution, kind of lays out the long-term strategy for it.
Okay, and so then the 10th, what happens? What do they vote on?
Right, so this past Friday, they started talking about all the amendments they want to do. They talked them through first. They're going to finish that on Monday. And then this coming Wednesday, they're actually going to vote on those different amendments, which ones they want to include, which ones they
So
don't.
vote on Wednesday on those.
They're going to vote in committee on Wednesday. And then after they do that, they're going to vote it out of committee on Wednesday. And then the following Monday on the 10th will be the day that the council votes the final approval of those changes.
So nothing's happening. Well, something's happening on the 3rd, but the big vote that people thought was going to happen on the 3rd is now going to happen on the 10th.
That's what the council's saying, yeah.
Right. In between that time, this budget is still in committee, and on Wednesday is when the budget gets voted out of committee and will go to the full council for voting next Monday, the 10th.
Yep, and that's when they're going to walk through all the individual amendments and related to SPD and decide which of them they want to adopt next Wednesday.
So is there going to be one amendment that's there that is basically the defund amendment? Is it going to come across as tidy as that, or are there a bunch of different amendments that make up the defund umbrella, so to speak?
Yeah, so they've got probably about 30 individual ones they're looking at that have a lot of kind of overlap and conflict. My guess is there's probably about 10 that will end up in some kind of consent package that they just vote sort of together. And then there's the other 20 they're going to walk through one by one and talk about.
So it sounds like the 10th is going to be must-see TV, huh?
Actually, I think this coming Wednesday is going to be the must-see TV. That's the one where they really kind of get in the details and decide, okay, we're going to move this thing out, like 911 call center. Are we ready to move that out now? Or
okay. So that's a perfect example. So something like 911 call center would come up on Wednesday in committee. Yeah. And then if it gets voted out of committee, then you know it has some legs. If it doesn't get voted out of committee, then it's dead on arrival.
Right. And there is one last chance at the 11th hour, the following Monday, council members could, pose last minute amendments. And there will probably be one or two just because, but really the big action and kind of the fine grained stuff about like specifically what are we going to do, that's all going to get decided this coming Wednesday as they vote in committee on this stuff.
And so I think a lot of people in the public also see defund as like, an up or down, like a yes or no. And it sounds like it's at least 30 different amendments right now.
Yeah. I got the list right here. I can tell you the kind of things they're looking at. They're, looking at things like, the harbor patrol. Do we move that over to the fire department? Do we reduce the SWAT team? School resource officers, the mounted unit. They have horse mounted units. Do we get rid of the horse mounted unit? Do we want to reduce the navigation team? Do we cut back on the public affairs unit inside SPD, which is interesting to me. It's like, well, that's a group that's supposed to tell everybody what SPD is doing, right? Including me. Like I talk, that's where I call to, I'm sure you do, to get information, right? Yeah. And, one of the things they're looking at is, do we cut the budget of that? Well, is that going to make it harder to get information out of SPD than it is right now? Or is it, are they just, there are people who think, well, they just lie all the time anyway. So what's the point of having them around, right? So that's the kind of discussion they're going to go through, like bit by bit.
Wednesday's going to be good, man. What time is the meeting on Wednesday?
2 parts. There's session starts at 10 a.m. They'll probably go to about 1 or 1:30, and then they'll pick up again at 2 p.m. and they'll go till they're done, which, some nights at 6 p.m. or later.
All right, so you can see with defund here, like I said, it's a lot of different amendments. It's a lot of different things that people were talking about. And so here's the thing: is I didn't read in these notes before the clip, but basically, so there goes another shot. Huh? When they announced defund, it's 7 out of 9 of the council members were like, hey, they support it and everything else. And we said at the time that this was like a kind of a broad kind of thing, and we would see what happens when it filters out. And so what's happened is you got a group there that's Herbold, Morales, Moscata, and Gonzalez, and they're saying that they support the concept and kind of idea of defund, and they're coming with a route to it and everything else, kind of moving it along. Make some concessions, try to find some money maybe from other places to jumpstart some of these programs that people are talking about. Then you got of course, your girl who's like, you guys are just being too scared. We need everything now. You got the mayor who's sitting there telling the city council, like, see, like Big Mama and them used to say, see, y'all wrote a check with your mouth that your butt can't cash. That's what basically what the mayor said. And of course, Solon's over at SPOG is like, if you defund, it's gonna become Armageddon. So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of all over the place. But some of the low-hanging fruit, I guess, that's being targeted at the moment for defund, that people feel there might be some consensus around, is the mounted units. That's the horses, schools, public affairs. It's the public affairs office you heard Kevin mention there. The navigation team. Navigation has come under some fire for the last few years. Outreach, special events, harbor patrol, and SWAT. And basically, like Kevin explained there, is that out of these 30 or so amendments, there might be 5, 10 that everybody agrees upon, and so they bundle them together and they'll just vote on those 10 because everybody's like, yeah, okay, we agree. Then the other amendments, it's gonna go, they gotta vote on each amendment. And so like Wednesday, they're doing public comment, I think, right now. Wednesday is must-see TV. I'm trying to see how we can pay-per-view this, but I guess the Seattle channel is going to give it away for free. Because Wednesday it's going to be a very big day in our city to see what amendments make it out of committee on Wednesday and make it to the full council vote.
Yeah, this is something, this is kind of some juicy stuff going on right now in Seattle. So many people, so much chatter out there in the community, so many people wondering where people are going to fall. I know you've been talking about having syrup on the show for the last couple of weeks, man. We're really going to see, this is like an epic week for us. Honestly, it is.
Yeah, in Seattle, when you think about it, no matter where you're at on this issue, when you think about it, that in less than 2 months, what day, the first protest day was May 29th, so that'd be June 29th, July 29th, 2 months. Mm-hmm. In 2 months, they're voting on something as profound as defund in 2 months in Seattle. So whether you like them or not, these protests have put a lot of pressure on the city and brought a lot of attention to issues here. And we'll see what happens with the city council. We'll see what happens there. Then also, it's August, so that means it's just one more month. The end of this month going into September, that's when we're going to hear from Mayor Durkin again. They sent me a nice email last month. They said, oh, I know you keep asking what Mayor Durkin's going to do with this $100 million, but she doesn't release her budget until September. I was like, oh, okay, let me stop asking. So next month is when we'll hear from Mayor Durkin about this $100 million a year times 10 years, $1 billion that she said that she wants to put out into the community. Plus, I haven't forgot about, next to $100 million, that $5 million sounds itty bitty, but there's also $5 million that she talked about. It's supposed to go to tutoring. Be interested to know what's going to happen with that. And also all the land transfers that were aforementioned. Speaking of land transfer, whatever happened with Fire Station 6?
Yeah, still on the books. We just got some correspondence last week about moving it forward. Next step, still don't have the deed or the keys, but it's moving forward. That's for sure.
Something I did want to bring some awareness to, and I don't know if you have any information, and I need to talk to them today. Put that on the list, Nikki. Central Area Senior Center. Need to talk to Diane today at the Central Area Senior Center, because I'm hearing that there's been some snags. The city was in the process of transferring the Central Area Senior Center over basically back to the community. The process had been stop and go and some of everything else, but right now I'm hearing that it's on stop.
Yeah, again, another story for us to follow up with and stay on top of, because I feel like every time we kind of like, okay, they're in a good place, let's leave that story alone. We come back to it and it feels like what has happened in the last few weeks or months that has changed the progress that they've made. Clearly, we've been following them throughout this process. They were told that they needed to come up with some money. They did a whole campaign.
Well, the community, the elders The elders put out a call to the community. I think they needed to raise like $55,000.
$55,000
in less than a week, and they put out a call to the community, and the community responded,
Yep.
and they raised the money because that's what the city said needed to be in the bank account.
Exactly. They raised, I think, closer to 75,000.
75.
You know, and so again, they had a surplus. And then when we found out, okay, yes, they're able to buy it, you know, they got their, you know, debt paid off, then there was another snafu. So again, I think that, you know, what we're kind of seeing with some of these cases, a lot of old normal tactics kind of coming into play. A lot of folks with the start and stop. Again, that building in particular has been promised to the community 7 mayors ago. So this doesn't just fall on Jenny Durkin.
Yeah, it's just on Mayor Durkin's desk now, which means that she has a great opportunity to make it happen.
Absolutely.
But it's been, the buck has definitely been passed.
Yeah.
Administration by administration and everything else. And like you said, a new normal. You can't have it both ways. We can't talk about unprecedented times and calling for unprecedented action and reimagination, and then you have like the same operating procedures and protocols.
I love how you say that, because you're so right, and that's why I'm really, really interested to see how this week plays out with the vote, because I'm kind of with you, man. We know these politicians do kind of the flip-flop. I'm really interested to see how this goes this week. I'm hoping that people are ready to move forward and be innovative, man.
They got a new dance they're doing back there. It's called the waffle.
Hey, you guys got the waffle.
Bobby Steele's, we're going to take some dance steps from you guys. They're back there doing the waffle.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay, so what do we have up here next? Before we go to this next clip, though, is Donita Sinclair Martin. And Donita is the mother of Horace Lorenzo Anderson, who was killed here in the CHOP the night of Juneteenth. And she has some real inspiring words. She spoke some words over at Umoja 2020 the other day. But I just wanted to go back on something I was talking about earlier, is that when we think about these protests, and I'm really unfortunately these days I watch too much news, way too much news, but also learning more, reading a lot more local papers and neighborhood papers and things like that. And I would just say this to our viewers out there in the Emerald City and even beyond, nationally and some even internationally, is that you have to do the hard work. Meaning that you can't just ride along with these narratives that are out there that are pushing all of us so far apart. They're pushing all of us so, and somebody who's really been in the thick of it, 100%, is somebody who's been in the thick of it. And I'm not trying to say I'm a know-it-all, because I'm definitely not, even though my son calls me one. I'm not trying to say that I'm a know-it-all, but I can tell you that it's very dangerous if we sit here and we say that because someone doesn't view something exactly like us makes them the enemy. Like I said, someone who's exercising their First Amendment right isn't a terrorist. Somebody who wants to back the blue doesn't mean that they hate black people. There's so many different aspects that are going on. We got to be able, and this is what I'm saying, individually, and we have to be able to roll up our sleeves as individual stakeholders in the city of Seattle and beyond and look deeper. Don't just trust the media, not even us, to just deliver everything for you. You have all these tools at your hands right now. Man, use these resources and figure these stories out for yourself. Because if you just hop on this bandwagon, if you hop on this train, either direction it's going, I promise you, we're not going to end up with the Emerald City that we deserve. And we have to be willing to actually figure it out for ourselves. And that's why we try to give people as much platform as possible. We get a lot of heat. Why you let them people on your platform? Why you let those people on your platform? Everything else is because right now, especially right now, especially going into this vote, the rhetoric out there is crazy.
It really is. And I think that you're so right in terms of encouraging individual community members to dig in for themselves. I think even for me, I've learned so much in the last few months just by doing my own research, connecting with people, hearing different sides. Again, also being able to bridge that gap. I think that so many of us are stuck in how we see this. We're stuck in our viewpoints. There's a lot of different reasons why we may have that viewpoint or have a particular way that we're seeing something. And ultimately, it's best for all of us to be well informed, be educated, because that's the best way for you to make the best decision. And I know even for me, talking on a personal level, we do this work and we hear from all different perspectives, but ultimately I have to do extra work as well. Even though I'm here on this platform, I still have to go out and get the information myself. And you're right, even just in my discussions with people, having talks with people literally that are on the opposite sides. I mean, if you get out here sometimes into some of these protest environments and you're able to speak to different people, what brought them out here, what made them want to say something and voice their opinion on this issue, bring their perspective to the table. I have learned so much. And so just through my own perspective, I feel that you are so right in that regard, that it is really, this is the time for us as individual community members to be educated and really inform ourselves so that we know how we feel about all of these options that are out there, about all of these opportunities, because really that's what they are. They're opportunities for us to expand our mind and expand how we see something. So, I agree with you wholeheartedly there, man. Folks need to get educated.
Yeah. It's worth. Why are we saying that, like, you as the individual citizen stakeholders of the Emerald City, why is it important? Because our neighbors are worth it. Our friends are worth it. Our city is worth it. Don't just go with these headlines and everything else. I promise you. Just like I said, dig deeper into these stories. And on so many sides of this issue, there are people that are in the wrong. There are people, and we talked about this last week. There are people that are wrong. These people that wanted to set an apartment on fire, they're in the wrong. Man, the officer that threw a flashbang at me and John's head that exploded, and I still have to go. We have to go to the ear doctor. Because we still can't hear. He can't hear out of his ear. My ear is still ringing. That's wrong. There's so many wrongs. The media, we've been wrong. It's okay when people say that there's things that are wrong on all sides of this, all the way around it. But you can't, if anybody wants to sit here and take a position that they've never done anything wrong, come on. And that's why it's important that people really dig on this. And like I said, don't just ride with the headlines and everything else, and just know that this isn't a one-size-fits-all protest, that everybody is this, that every police is this, or every protester is that, and every politician, well, maybe that, but every politician is this, or every media is whatever. We need to look into the fine points around it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you were talking about Donita Sinclair Martin earlier, and I think you're so right. Part of her message to the people during Umoja was very similar here. It was about educating yourself. It was about pushing the boundaries. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us get stuck in, like, let's protect our family members. She's like, come on, you guys. We got to also know if they've done something wrong. We got to be able to speak it up.
We have Donita's clip right here.
You guys, I'm not a speaker. I'm just a mother, a concerned mother, a mother that's hurting, that want answers. And it's just not just about my son. It's about our whole community, because I know it's a ton of people in here out on the hug that done lost their kids. Kids, you guys, not adults, kids. It seemed like we're having parties at the funeral home. I'm sick of it. The T-shirts, we can't have this no more, you guys. But I can't do it alone. So I need my community. And we got to quit talking about it and start being about it. Us community leaders, we got to quit bullshitting Because we're not picking CD South End. We're community. You know, it's time for change. We say we want change, but we're doing nothing. This is one of us, you guys. This is our next generation. You want to say hi?
Hi.
This is our generation. So if we don't get it together, who's going to be there for them? We need to get our little ones that's in the back. We need to bring them to the front. You guys, we playing games. We run around here with these guns, hurting one another. Yeah, because it is pain. Because I was one once. I hurted the community, but now I'm healing it. And then not just because my son's dead. It's because this is my passion. I walk this, I talk this, I sleep this, I eat this. My community. But I can't do it alone. Oh, you guys, I'm just hurting.
I mean, you got it right there. Oh, I mean, there was Donita Sinclair Martin, you know, speaking really on behalf of her son, as you said, Horace Lorenzo Anderson, that was killed right here in the CHOP. And again, she's like, look, encouraging folks to step up. She can't do it alone. And when we talk about community, we also have to uproot some of that ugliness in our community and face it head on, man. I appreciated her message on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Donita's speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And she's speaking the truth that only a mother who's lost a child can speak. And it's heard loud and clear. And I think that it really resonated with the crowd that was there and across the community. And that's when I saw this replay, I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful. We need to put that in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just for her to even have the energy to come out there and bring a message, we were all honored that she did that. And again, the message definitely resonated with the crowd. Oh, I think this is what we need. It's the time for us to all come together, not protecting one particular place over the other, but come together as a larger community, man. I agree wholeheartedly.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break right now. And when we come back, we're going to be talking hockey. I'm gonna make this all make sense. It's our Melanin Magic, and we talking hockey. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
There's a lot going on. Are you ready? Ready to feel better, look better, be better? Drink water. Be ready for a pickup game. Insta-frame to work hard towards your aim? Drink water. Hydrate. Hydrate to invest in yourself. Cut down on sugar. Invest in your health. Imagine the possibilities and reach your potential. Who knows what's next? Be ready. Be hydrated.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, as usual, joined by the very talented and amazing Trey Holiday.
Yes, thank you, sir. Happy to be here always.
All right, so Melanin Magic, I told you I was going to make it make sense.
Come on, man, make it make sense quickly.
Because I'm talking hockey, you know, and I mean, we have to be able to talk hockey.
Now, yeah.
Seattle. I mean, I went to a few Thunderbird games back in the day, though. Back when they used to play at the arena. Thunderbird, it was cool.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I've been a few places, done a few things. So we have the Seattle Kraken now, and Kraken is big sea monster kind of thing. Jake actually has a tattoo of the Kraken on his hand.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe we'll get a shot of that tomorrow. But anyways, so how does this all tie in? Well, in honor of our new hockey team here, the Seattle Kraken, I've found a clipper. There's a documentary. It's called Soul on Ice. And Soul on Ice is a documentary about African Americans' journey into professional hockey.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I figure if we're going to get excited about having a pro hockey team here in Seattle, I'm still trying to get used to the color scheme though. But if we're gonna get used to that, this might be a good place to start. Here's the trailer right here for Soul on Ice.
The black men of the community could not play hockey with the white hockey teams in the area. They were just segregated.
We've got some season ticket holders that are complaining about bringing you here.
I had to endure everything. All the name calling, the N-word, I heard it all.
He got death threats. You're playing the white man's game.
You know that you can compete with the best, but you're the wrong color.
For 12 years, we've been coming to hockey, and he's only the second one we've ever seen.
Was there a discrimination issue, or was it simply the fact that he was too proud to go to the minor leagues? And you can find good arguments on both sides.
There was racial slurs coming from every corner.
The only way to get back at him is to win.
Race, like so many other things, serve as a distraction. And the minute you allow it to distract you, you'll never reach your destination.
It doesn't matter what color you are. If you want to do something, you go and do it. And don't let anybody tell you you can't do that.
Why wouldn't you play basketball, or why wouldn't you play football? And I'm like, why can't I play hockey? What's wrong with it?
And when we make it, we gon' put our soul on ice. Cause when they got it,
I didn't realize that at that time that I had broke barriers and opened doors.
They tried to get rid of us, but they need us.
Our job is to keep building. You got guys like Wayne Simmons and Chris Stewart and PK.
You need me. We double up when our numbers come through the TV. Soul on ice. I'ma put my soul on ice. Nice.
He had a dream to be a hockey player. He wasn't going to let anybody take that away from him.
They made it so much easier for us to come up and to play, and to not think about color as a factor, and it's just based on our skill and not on our color.
Hockey's given me so many opportunities, and the only reason why I even have that opportunity is because of them.
Nice.
You owe it to yourself if you're playing a sport to know your history. Especially if you're black.
All right, now Trayana, now what, did I make it make sense for you?
Yeah, you made it make sense. And I had goosies the whole time. I did not know anything about this story. That was a great find, Omari. Let me tell you, that was amazing.
Well, yeah, and so, help this brother out, independent filmmaker. You can watch Soul on Ice on YouTube. I think you rent it for a few dollars or something like that. But let's help out an independent filmmaker. And also you're gonna learn something. You'll learn the history of black people playing hockey. And a lot of people like yourself, you had no idea,
None
right?
whatsoever. And all I gotta say though is, did you see that swag they were bringing to the ice, man? I love it, man. Bam, ready. They even do hockey different, man. You gotta love that.
All right. Oh man, and on a sports note, unfortunately, our beloved M's, they took a loss last night to Oakland. They're now 4-6. They're number 3 in the West, but they got another game tonight. I think it's Oakland again tonight, and then maybe the Angels tomorrow.
Well, we're rooting for them.
But yeah, 4-6. It's still early.
Yeah.
It's 10 games So that means there's 50 games still left in the season. So for you guys out there, I'm a diehard Mariners fan. Really die hard, as in I'll never stop being a Mariners fan. It's about that time, man.
It sure is, man. Time to stand up.
All right. So programming notes here. A few things is that we're going to be keeping an eye like a hawk on City Hall. And we're trying to set up something kind of special for Wednesday when the City Council votes around these different amendments on defunding. Again, this is committee. This is the committee voting to get these amendments out of committee, and then they're going to go to the full council next Monday. A lot of different stuff. You got some episodes coming up, huh?
Yeah. Chats with Trey is coming back. We've been gearing up. So shout out to the producers. You know what I'm saying? We've been gearing it up, man. So you guys will be on the lookout for that in the next coming weeks.
Big shout out to Carlos Imani.
Absolutely, man.
Right.
Flavor team bringing it in.
All right. Want to again thank everybody for your continued support of ConvergeMedia. And we're definitely one of the fastest growing urban digital platforms in the United States of America. Thanks to your support. Don't forget to tag, share, tell a friend about us. Also, again, there's different content on different platforms. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at WWConverge and Twitter at WWConverge. You can also visit our website.
Yeah.
Where
we converge.
There it is. Anything else?
That's about it, man. Have a great rest of your Monday, guys.
All right. That's it. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on to victory.